Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody, welcome to another spooky mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and where am I? Who's with me tonight?
I am Joe Butler, and I'm here at the request of my good friend Michael Albertin.
And that's a loaded question because just prior to coming on, I thought my name was Vincent, but it turns out my name is Blair Farrell, the owner of comicbookvideogames.com.
And we are here to talk about a very unknown game that is on the show because I don't really know why. We're here to talk about Resident Evil Survivor that came out for PlayStation in 2000.
I feel like 2000's really late for a PlayStation game.
Well, this was after Code Veronica on Dreamcast.
Well,
that's kind of weird.
It is apparently rumored because of the Columbine shootings that they pushed it back because they didn't want people playing a game with a light gun.
That makes sense. And they took away the light gun here, too. In Europe and Japan, this game had a light gun, where here this game didn't. And this game wasn't developed by Capcom. This game was developed by Tosi, whoever they are. So.
They're like, they actually have their fingers in a lot of things. Like, there was a lot of GBA Final Fantasy ports, and they're the ones who were, like, secretly behind, like, many, like, games. But, like, they don't talk about their process. I just watched the Sphere Hunter video on this before I kind of came in just to get a little refresher, even though I finished this last week.
So did I. So
I watched the speedrun. I was going to watch more, but that didn't happen. So a long time ago, I actually did cover the second sequel to this game, Resident Evil Dead Aim, on this show, which I like. But so this game, for those that don't know, it's a first-person shooter, but it's like a light gun, so you have to hit R1, and then you pull up your little gun thing, then you aim, and then you shoot. So it's not a first-person shooter, but it looks like one, because it's a light gun game. I think this would have been fun as a light gun game. I really do.
I think it's fine. And it's funnier that they do end up leaning more into first-person Resident Evils nowadays. And I think if this game did get like a standard remake, like the other ones have been having, I'd play the shit out of it.
And is this canon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the start of Resident Evil 0, there's some flavor text that sets up everything, and it name drops Sheena Island, which is where this game takes place.
Okay, so the idea of this game is some little island that had another outbreak, essentially. That was Umbrella again or something. But I'm assuming that's the story. I didn't pay much attention.
I didn't find... I know one of the points of this game is you're supposed to replay it like 3 times. I never found the profile that said it was on an island, but I'm assuming you find it like in the library or something.
Yeah, definitely Sheena Island. But yeah. And it's after RE2 happened, which it makes sure you know that.
Yeah. The opening's also really like cut forward. Also, I did find out that the game has a weird way of playing too. Besides it like barely having an opening cutscene of some random dude falling out from a helicopter, shaking something at you. The game has a live system. Like you have like 5 lives, and if you die, you have to restart the game over again.
What? Can you save in this game?
No, there's no physics. The only way you save is when you beat the game, so you can restart the game with all your weapons and take different paths, I believe is what it said.
Yeah, there's 3 different branches. When I was watching the Spear Hunter video, because in my playthrough, I didn't fight the alligator, but apparently you can fight the alligator.
Wait, there's an alligator in this game?
Yeah. I mean, they just reuse all the assets from Resident Evil 1 and 2, so it's just the same alligator. It's just somewhere, I don't know, in one of the paths.
Okay. That's kind of, I mean, that does fit with a light gun game, that it would have different paths for you to go to. I mean, Resident Evil did not stray away from light gun games. I mean, they made, the sequels for this, essentially. They made the two on Wii, which I really, really want to cover one day on the show.
I love those Wii U games.
Same. So, and it worked. I mean, this game was simple in a way, but I mean, it's still cool. I'm glad to know it's canon. I'm glad to know, and that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that there's another island out there somewhere where Umbrella owned, a corporation on there and was doing experiments and things got out of hand. Completely can buy that. And I like the idea, as we'll get into it, with this island being like, this is where they were producing Tyrant that we saw in Resident Evil 2 and that we see throughout the series. This is where they were making them.
There's also a weird nod, which I feel like they do use for one of the later games as well.
What is that?
Well, towards the end of the game, you find like a little file. And one of the things I love about this game is kind of the story is you think you have amnesia and you think you're Vincent, and you find all these files of like, oh, Vincent likes to like strangle babies in their sleep, and he likes to like kick puppies and stuff like this. And then what is it, later on you find a file that talks about how he likes to cut people's heads open and extract like a piece of their brain because like something about using the fear. So what is it, to make tyrants is what it's supposed to do?
Like that's the most, to me, in replaying this, because the game itself is not very great, but the story and the files are probably the most interesting part, because like the whole purpose of this island is that it's a tyrant factory, and what they do is they just like kidnap people from all over the world, bring them to this island, and then so there's something in the brain that triggers during extreme fear. So they essentially have to like cut someone's head open while they're fully awake to extract this gland that is used in the production of tyrants.
Wow.
And they can't put them under, because if they're under, then it doesn't generate. So they have to do it while they're alive. So it's really messed up and kind of interesting, but that's just all in the files. Like everything else is just like bog standard kind of just shooter.
I didn't read the files. I grabbed them, but I didn't read them. I just like, I'll look at them later, and I never.
You like deprive yourself of the most interesting part of this game.
Yeah.
I disagree. I really like this game. I like the way that. Okay, so I didn't figure out you could run in this game till about 75% through the game. So I thought that was just a feature of the game. Like, okay, you walk slow to add to the tension. You go in a room, you hear, and then I start pull out my gun and boom, 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 my infinite ammo with my gun. And I'm like, all right, like this makes sense. Like I can't really avoid them because I can't run. I got to take them all down. I got infinite ammo. It wasn't until I think it was like I was looking up something. They're like, yeah, run. And I'm like, what? Run? I'm like, and I was like, oh. So that's when I realized you could run in this game. But other than that, like I thought this game worked if you have no idea you can run. Like if you completely hold out that feature, I think it works.
I got lost twice.
I can see that.
I didn't.
It's just a straight line.
No, I didn't know. Well, it's the other thing they don't tell you can do. You can hit the buttons on the wall. So whenever you're down in the factory and you need a key card, I'm like, where the fuck do I go? I went upstairs and wasted ammo fighting 2 tyrants at the same time, which is bullshit. And then I decided I'd look up a walkthrough, and it's like, oh yeah, go down. You have to hit the shutter button, and like you open the shutter, and there's 2 plant zombies, and there's a guy with a key card.
Yeah, I mean there is stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, I can't remember if I figured out I could press walls or press things, but I didn't. I tried playing this game without a guide for a little bit, but it didn't last long before I pulled up a guide because it's me.
Well, that's also because the game's not linear. You can pick like 3 paths and then another 3 paths.
Yeah, I mean, it is like to Blair's comment. It is a straight line at times, but there is small things that can screw you up. Like I completely missed early on in the very opening of the game. You fight your first zombie, you get a key, and you're supposed to go in the church. You could actually go somewhere else into a meat factory and get herbs or something. I did not find that because I went right in the church and continued the game on.
Well, that's the first branch, because I think it's like the church and something else. So there's 3 points where it branches. I can't remember if I knew you could run or not, but I think I did, because a lot of the times, because it is like a shooter, but it's also still like a classic Resident Evil game, so you still have like tank controls. So it's like we were kind of posting our like finish times and stats in the little chat that we had. And like I just found myself running past most enemies because it was just a waste of time to shoot them unless they were really in the way. Because like fighting lickers and dogs is an absolute nightmare because they're so fast and you can't aim at them fast enough.
Yeah, the dogs were the worst for me in this game.
Yeah.
I just ran past them every time.
There's a really good scene when you first meet the licker and you see it and you take a shot at it and another one jumps out of the water.
I don't remember that.
It's like going down like a path.
Okay, I just don't. I know one of the complaints people had with this game was the fact that they reused assets from 1 and 2. I don't mind that. I don't care that the zombies are the same from 2. I don't care that the lickers are the same. None of that bothered me.
Are you a fan of Majora's Mask then?
Yes, I am actually. Episode 24 or 25. Go check it out.
I think it's just when you take those enemies and you put them in the context of this type of game, it just doesn't work. And then in the era which it came out, like getting up close and personal with, at the time, 2-year-old assets, like it kind of shows the worth, like when you're right up front as opposed to like pulled out with the fixed cameras. And because like in Resident Evil 3, they kind of sharpened up like the zombies and the monsters. And then you also, I mean, this game came out, I think, 1999, early 2000 Japan. But by the time it came out here, like PlayStation 2 was coming out and Code Veronica was out. So like kind of playing this, knowing what was out there was like, it's great. It was at the time, it was great to have a new Resident Evil because there was only, well, I guess 3, not counting all of the director's cuts and DualShock editions. But I remember like going from Code Veronica to this and was like, this is just unacceptable.
I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I never played this one.
I never did either. I knew it existed. Like I want to say I booted up the ROM once in my life and played it for like a minute and then never touched it again. So I was happy when Mike was unfortunately not able to be on this episode due to his terrible internet connection. Had like, hey, let's do Survivor, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, because it gave me an excuse to finally play it. But it didn't bother me with the I don't know, it just really didn't bother me with the assets. It didn't. I liked the way this game looked. I felt that this game was really creepy still to me. Like it creeped me out, which I was a little surprised, but I'm okay with.
Yeah, I guess maybe you played it because I played on easy. I did because I just wanted to play mostly for the story because I had some like it was funny because in the Spear Hunters video she talks about how like her copy is in pristine condition because it just lived in a box somewhere. And that was like the same thing for me. Like I owned this and it was just in a drawer at my parents' house. And then I eventually sold it. So for this, I just had to rely on an emulator because this game is now like $100 on the secondary market. Not because it's good, just because it's rare.
Rare, and it's a franchise that's well known.
And don't pay $100 for this. Anyone who's listening to this, do not pay $100.
No, I would have been upset if I would have bought this game like for $50 back in the day or 40, whatever it came out as. I mean, but for a guy who, if I would have played this for $5, or I would have got it for free the way I got it, like it was fun. But I could see being really upset if you paid a lot of money for this game, this being one of the few games you get, and you're like, what the fuck did I just buy?
Yeah, I definitely bought this used when it came out.
I think the only thing I've spent like a lot of, which isn't a lot of money, but the only time I've bought, and I got a good deal for it too. My cousin bought Silent Hill original for the PlayStation. Everything came with it for like $50 on eBay, but that was back in like 2010.
But that game was worth it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
I wonder how much it is now.
It's a really, I mean, I want to say Resident Evil Survivor, you could buy it on the PS3 at one point as a digital game, I'm assuming.
I don't think so because I would have had it. Because I bought a lot of PS1 games on PS3.
Same.
And I think that's why it's so expensive is because like they're probably never going to re-release this again. Like, kind of, it's a nice oddity to have like, if Digital Eclipse ever did like a Resident Evil collection, if this was like a bonus game, it would be a nice little thing to play once.
Because you are right. This game came out only once in PlayStation 1, and it came out for Windows, but only in China and Taiwan. Did not come out anywhere else on Windows. That's fucking weird. Why would you make a game for Windows? You port it, you go through that trouble, and you go, we're only putting it in China. We're not putting it anywhere else.
Also, you don't hear people crying over like bringing back Ark Thompson either. Like I think probably the only 2 characters in Resident Evil lore that I could think of people complaining they haven't brought back yet are Billy from 0 and Shiva from 5. Sheva. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't think Ark Thompson's coming back.
I'm curious as to how this would have controlled, because I have a Namco Gun Con. I bought it for Judge Dredd light gun game on the original PlayStation. Because I know the Gun Con 2, it had, I think there was an analog stick in the back, because I used to have one, but I don't have it anymore.
I do.
But the Gun Con 1 doesn't, so I guess you probably had to move with a controller and shoot with a Gun Con?
From what I understood, yes. There was a speedrunner I was watching. He was talking in Europe. The only speedrun of this game that I found on there that was like in a some kind of tournament type setting, or not, I shouldn't say tournament, more like the Awesome Games Done Quick, that type of setting. And he had that, and he played. He was talking about it. He said, he said it was pretty annoying to play with the light gun. But I think you were able to move with the light gun. I think there was a button or something you could press, but maybe you control. I don't know, but I mean, I could still see this being kind of fun. I mean, I played games in weird ways before with other controllers, so.
Okay, this way is actually pretty weird. So on the Gun Con, it's the A button to move left, the B button to move right. You tap both buttons for inventory. You tap A or B twice to focus on the enemies. The triggers to walk forward if it's away from the screen. And you shoot at the screen to shoot enemies. And you have to hit the trigger, the A button, and the B button to open the options menu.
That sounds absolutely awful. I'm glad
Is it sad
didn't get Gun Con support.
I think that sounds cool to me, actually, for some reason.
No.
That sounds like worse than like a Wii game.
I do hate Wii games, so you got me on that one. I don't know, it just sounded, I'm like, this sounds interesting. Okay. Well, one thing that I did really like about this game, I think, is why it kind of boosted up its potential to me, is I love the fact that you fight so many tyrants, so many Mr. X's in this game. I mean, because again, this island's a tyrant factory, but I really like that. I like how they keep showing up. There's a really good scene where which I think would have freaked the shit out of me had I not been reading the guide at the time, where you go to a computer console to grab a key card. And when you go to grab the key card, a tyrant busts through the wall of the computer console where you're at and throws the key card in the room somewhere else. And I was like, okay, this is cool.
I wasn't reading a walkthrough, and that actually scared the general shit out of me.
I wish I wouldn't have been at the time.
To my counterpoint, I would say the exact opposite as why, because again, maybe it's different on normal, because on easy, you can run from the tyrants, L1 quick aim at them, and just pump them full of handgun bullets, and then they just fall over. There's no fear or tension, and there's so many. They don't have any weight.
One, you don't know you can run, and two, you don't know you can press L1. That is a lot scarier.
I also have a counterpoint. I don't think the tyrants are ever scary, except for the remake, because in original Resident Evil 2, you can pump them full of handgun ammo anyways, and they fall. So
yeah, I think, and again, that's when I play Resident Evil 2, when Mr. X comes, I'm just oh, and I just run past him. But the first time you see him, you're like, oh god, and there's weight because he's hunting you. But in this, there's one point where you go into a tunnel. I think there's 2 or 3, and I was like, oh guys, I'm just gonna run past if that's okay.
You see, I didn't know I could plus the fact that I had infinite ammo, it made me not want to run past them. It made me want to kill them all, just because I knew that I could.
I actually tried to run past one. I think it's the first one, and then I realized you had to fight him because that's the only way to get the event trigger to move on.
That's weird.
Was it in the alley?
I was in the hospital.
I didn't go to the hospital. I think I took a different path.
So am I the only one that got the Silent Hill Easter egg?
What is that? I don't know what that is.
The Heaven's Night Bar?
Yeah, I went to the Heaven's Night Bar.
Yeah, I did not do that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, you go. I know what you guys are talking about. There's my sequence for that is I go into the bar and I go upstairs to grab, I think it's a key card, and Mr. X walks in and I'm like, I'm not going to fight this dude. And I literally walk out of the room, walk downstairs towards the key card, and then another one pops up and I'm like, I'm really glad I didn't fight the one upstairs. And I didn't know you had to hit the key card button, so I was stuck in the hallway with him trying to get past him.
I can see that being annoying. I feel like they took a decent amount of shots from your handgun, but the fact that your handgun is unlimited, which is nice. And there's 3 handguns in this game. I only found 2 of the 3.
There's 4.
There's 4 handguns?
Yeah, there's 8 weapons, and I had 5.
I'm assuming some you have to beat the game before you can get. I'm assuming.
No, you we're talking about earlier. There's 3 different paths. You find each handgun on each different path, which means you have to beat the game multiple times to get all the weapons. And I think if you get an S rank, you also get the rocket launcher, is what it said.
Okay, that's cool.
I was worried I was going to miss something because like I found the shotgun ammo before I found the shotgun, and I got the magnum ammo before I found the magnum, and I'm like, oh, I hope I didn't miss these goddamn guns.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
It is really hard to find information about this game too, by the way. Okay, so yeah, there's a grenade launcher. I got the grenade launcher. I got a shotgun, and okay, I do see, and I got the magnum. So yeah, I didn't get the rocket launcher because I'm assuming you have to beat you got to beat the game for that. Okay.
Oh, but it's a very minor spoiler, but in Resident Evil Revelations 2, the main virus is a fear virus, and if you get too scared, you're injected with the virus, but if you get too scared, your little bracelet goes off, and then you transform into a zombie.
Oh.
And that's what made me think of this, too, at the ending.
I've never played Revelations 2, and I'm excited to try it maybe next year.
It's great.
Hands down, my second favorite Resident Evil game.
Okay. Because I'm trying to get back into the series. I mean, I kind of took a break on the show. Like, we were doing a lot of RE games on the show, and then when my previous host left, I kind of took a break on them, and I'm trying to get back into it. Like for this Spooktober, we're doing like 4 different Resident Evil things. Like, I'm trying to get back into it and get back into the series again and do more. But we'll see. There's none next season currently at the time of this recording, but that can always change.
I'll figure it out.
And there's always I can always put a mini of Gaiden and do that finally.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that.
I do want to play that one day. After playing this, I maybe want to play Gaiden. So, okay, I felt that this game was, like, I like the way that this game looks. I like the graphics in this game. I like the way that you're going through this facility and just the way everything looked. I didn't have a problem with the loading screens like some people do. I was listening to when I was online. Like, I liked all that. I actually got a kick out of this game.
The story's not bad either.
No. I don't know. After playing Resident Evil 2, for our recover episode, which you will hear sometime around this, like I'm fighting Mr. X's in there, and then being able to just murder fucking Mr. X's, it did something to me that was really nice. I'm like, this is nice in the start. Like, I just get that kid murder them. Like, God, this feels good. Cathartic. That's the word I want. So, no complaints there.
I'm surprised there's not like an infinite ammo option once you like beat this game or something, just so you can replay it faster.
I mean, there is for the handgun, but not for you get a shotgun grenade launcher. They don't have infinite ammo, but I didn't use them much.
Yeah, I only switched. I think I used the shotgun to take out the hunters, and then I just used everything else for the tyrant at the end because there was no reason. Because the dogs I ran past because they're too fast and they don't stun like they do in classic games. It's like in classic Resident Evil, you shoot them once and they're on the ground, then you can knife them or keep shooting them until they die. But in here, they just keep running around, and you move so slow that it's just a nightmare to target them. So just as well to run past them. And same thing with lickers. Like, I ran past the spiders, I had to kill the hunters, and everything else I just saved for like the last boss at the end.
I do want to talk about that, but not yet. Like the lickers, I thought the lickers were creepy as hell. So the hunters are cool in this game. Okay, I have a question for 2 RE nerds. It says, I never played RE1, Director's Cut, RE1 in general very much. I played a little bit, but I never got far. I watched my friend play it. But for the longest time, this guy also was a notorious liar. And he had told me that the hunters in RE1 were like monkeys, like big, giant black monkeys. And for the longest time, I pictured hunters as monkeys. It wasn't until Resident Evil 1 Remake when I'm like, wait, they're frog-like. And I always thought that was the first game that made them frog-like. And I believed this for way longer than I should have. But I've realized over time the hunters, were they always amphibious?
Yes.
I think he might have been getting confused with one of the files. I think it's like the Keeper's Diary. And he mentioned something about, like, I had to put a live pig into the cage of an ape-like creature, and maybe like the texture and how they looked, it was kind of ape-like, but yeah, they're like reptilian.
But he told me they were black and furry.
That's from Zero, I believe. I think Zero, they use monkeys, don't they?
Yeah, there's monkeys in Resident Evil 0, yeah, but they're just regular ass monkeys.
No, this is way before any of that, so he probably just lied to me because he was notorious.
Yeah.
He was also the guy that told me that there was a code in the Avengers Genesis game that you could get, that he had access, that his brother had in a safe or some bullshit. Like, so yes, he was just a notorious liar, but that's another story. Okay, I was just curious. I'm really getting the itch now to play Resident Evil 1 because that's the only PlayStation or RE game I have not touched yet. But we'll see when it happens.
Put it on the show.
I will.
On the show.
Probably for a spook next year, but I think I will because I do want to play it. So we'll see. I have so much stuff I want to play though, so it's hard. But yeah, no, it's so. Some other thing about the game, like I think the liquors look good. I also like that the liquors change colors near the end. They use the other color font from Resident Evil 2 also, which actually made me happy to see. I was like, okay, that is cool.
The super liquors?
Yeah, they're in here too. God, this game has a lot of tyrants because I'm watching a playthrough right now and he went a different path than I went. He's fighting more tyrants. Like, my God, you fight a lot of tyrants in this game.
Yeah, at the end of the game, whenever you there's a room you walk into and all the doors fly off the hinges. I think you can get tyrants that show up in there too.
Yeah, I did. I had two. At one point I had two in a room and I murdered both of them because it gives you shotgun shells for killing them. And I didn't use shotguns on them. I just used the handgun, but the shotgun was nice to have for the lickers and the hunter because the hunters were a bitch. Oh, dogs are a real ass when you don't know you can run by them. By the way, Blair. Like, if I knew I could run, it would have been easy. I actually found a couple areas I was able to stand like a corner where they couldn't get me and just shoot them, but it was really annoying trying to shoot them.
See, it's funny is I think before I started, as I don't own my copy anymore, so I just had to emulate it. I went into the options and looked at the controls because for the longest time, because L1 is like quick search, so it snaps you to like an enemy or a door. And for the longest time when I was using it, I thought it was a 180 turn button because every time I would hit it, I would turn around. And until later on, he didn't. And I was like, oh, this isn't like a quick turn button because I was playing it like Resident Evil 3 where I would shoot an enemy, hit L1, then run back, and then go plug them some more.
I think by me not knowing the controls helped the tension of the game. And it helped me enjoy the game because once I found out I could run, the game wasn't as tense for me anymore. And it kind of took a little bit away.
Am I the only one that thought it was weird the hunters had butt cheeks?
I did notice that. I didn't think it was weird. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
If they're made from, some kind of primate DNA with amphibians, like, it makes sense. I'll buy it. They don't normally jump around, I guess. So, hey, that was funny, though. They got away with what they could get away with. And then throughout this game, you have this weird story with these two kids that you're constantly fighting off and on for some weird reason.
Yeah. Also, the voice acting in this game isn't good, and I'm pretty sure these kids are supposed to be British. But you find these kids that don't want anything to do with you, and I kind of get why the girl doesn't, but the kids being really weird, and it also doesn't help because the game starts off with you, and it shows someone in a helicopter and a guy in a helicopter shaking a necklace at you, and then you crash it?
Yeah, or it crashes, something, I don't even know.
Yeah. And then you get off the helicopter with your head hurting. You don't know who you are. And obviously, it should be obvious because there's a guy laying in a pile of his own blood with a necklace that says Art Thompson. And he's like, that's weird. And he continues on. And does someone take a shot at him someone calls him on the phone saying that he's like, fuck you, Vincent. You'll pay for what you did. And he's like, I must be Vincent.
If I ever get amnesia, I want someone to listen to the show to tell me to replay Chrono Trigger. Just make it. I want to, experience it the new way. That's what. If I ever get amnesia, that's what I want.
I think the reason why the kid is afraid of you, because you find out like the twist at the end is that he's besties with Leon Kennedy, and he sent him to investigate this island, and no one actually knew what Vincent looked like. So he was pretending to be Vincent, and then the kid, I can't remember, one's Lot, and I can't remember the other. But the male, the brother, I think he was with one of the Umbrella families, as they say, like the Umbrella families live there. So he told actual Vincent that this guy was posing as him, so I think he felt guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know you're right, because I remember something about that, so that's probably what it is, too. There's also like there's a weird dialogue point where you walk in like where the girls, the sister is at in the room, and it plays like a really weird audio clip of like Vincent's mom, like, please don't be evil, Vincent. And it's never explained as to why that happens.
That was a weird part.
I was going to use that as my opening.
That was this whole game was kind of strange. Okay. The kid stuff is just so weird. Like you they're running around this island. You see them in different parts, and they're alive. Like they're not being killed by the zombies that are everywhere.
Same
thing with Sherry.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Also, if you told me that, like, what is that kid, probably like 12 with like a baseball bat? These Resident Evil zombies aren't that fast or competent. You could probably take them out with a baseball bat.
As long as you didn't get surrounded, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit him in the legs. I mean, I'm assuming that the legs of a zombie are going to be much less, much more fragile than a human leg because, they're dead at this point. So, yeah. And, I mean, you hit a person in the leg would take them out too, probably. So, yeah, okay, I'll buy it.
Oh, yeah, but, you missed out on the files, Mike, because there's, like, a weird way of, like, people talking about how fucked up Vincent is. Like, one of them is, like, he doesn't refer to the prisoners as people. They're all just, like, meat experiments.
I wish I would have read them then. I don't know. I wasn't in the mood. Like, I also beat this game like 2 days ago before this recording. Like, I was kind of rushing to get this done because I was a little behind schedule. So, I mean, this game is short though. So,
yeah, that's why I wait. And when I saw this was on, because I was like, oh, I need to beat this Friday night. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. And then when I was like, oh, it's on for Sunday, I just decided to wait till Saturday to play it real quick.
Okay. One thing I thought was an interesting scene is you go to the kid's house, where the daughter's hiding in her room, and the dad is still in the house, but he's a zombie now.
Yeah.
I killed him. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, don't you think that she would have been in danger? Like, the fact that he's in the house, that he would have figured, like, hey, there's something in here. But I guess Resident Evil zombies are pretty dumb.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was a dad. I thought it was just like another...
It's supposed to be the dad, I think. That's what my guy said. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, it doesn't say it or anything. I'm just going, what would have made sense?
Because it's not like, so like, when in Code Veronica, like, there is a father who's a zombie, but he has a difference. He looks different from every other monster, but now the zombies from this one are literally just like the same ones pulled from Resident Evil 2, so none of them have any like distinguishing characteristics to be like, oh, this is a zombie in like a business suit or something.
No, they didn't do anything special. It's just that's what people were saying. I mean, that makes the most sense. So, but yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing that locks it in, but either way, there's a zombie in the house and she's fine.
Also, Blair, did you ever find any file to what the tyrant was called?
No, but I think in Susie's video they put a name on it, and then I can't remember, and I literally just watched it like 3 hours ago, and that's really bad.
It was Hypnos. This thing's called Tyrant Hypnos.
Okay, we should talk about the tyrant now. I think we covered almost everything else. I like the tyrant in this.
I do too.
I like all the tyrants, but the final tyrant thing that you fight, Hypnos, I thought was pretty damn cool.
I asked you that, Blair, because I guess you get a different character before you fight the tyrant, and if you go to the library, which I'm assuming you find out what it's called there, probably.
Yeah, I didn't go there because Susie had her video, I think, because the person the tyrant skewered in mine was Vincent, but if you do another way, it's just one of the BOW guards with a cat voice when they die.
So it wasn't just those were okay. So there's a we didn't talk about this, and I forgot, but thank you. Like, for some point, you see a helicopter, you see all these different weird like soldier guys being dropped off that are like SWAT team guys, but for some reason, why the hell do they sound like cats?
They're BOWs.
Oh, they're not humans?
They're not human.
Oh, okay. But the lead guy is human then, right?
Probably.
Okay, I guess they don't care. Okay. Because, I was just so weird. I fought them a lot, because I took a path at one point where you just fight a ton of them, but I was like, why the hell are they screaming like cats? Or monkeys, whatever the fuck they were.
Because I think when you kill them, they're like, they release hot air, and they like, their suits like fall into like nothing.
Okay, I thought that was just bad graphics, but alright.
Nothing else does that, so that's why I guess they're BOWs.
Okay, I'm on board. I'll buy it. It was just weird. I mean, I did like that they were in this game. I like that you fight them a lot. That was my special enemy, because in the end, near the end, right, like you were saying, right for the tyrant, depending on what you do, there's 3 different people that will show up. One is him, one is the real Vincent, and who is the third one? Do we know?
It's the guy that you meet when it shows the flashback where it's like, oh, you were meeting with the guy in the tunnel, and it has Art Thompson talking to like this like 3-foot tall guy.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be him.
I ran into him, but like only in that tunnel. I didn't meet him anywhere else.
Okay, I'm not even sure what it's like. It depends on like certain actions that you do in the game or something. I guess I was sort of paying attention, but not a lot.
It's the branching pathways.
Okay.
Yeah, when you start the game off, you can either go to the arcade. I think the first one is the arcade. There's a hospital and a library. I think whenever you enter that room where he takes pot shots at you, you have to like go towards the building, and you probably meet him. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's either Rusty Key, and it's like you can go to 3 different spots, and depending on like what spots you go in, because that's like the only replay incentive for this, other than I guess the special weapons, is that like you play it once and then you go through again and go a different way to try to see the different things.
Okay. I like the fact that it has multiple paths. I think that's a good thing. I mean, a big part of it, really has to do with the fact that, it's a light gun game, so you need multiple paths, but I really liked it. I didn't use the grenade launcher. I mean, I only used the grenade launcher and the Magnum at the very end of the game. But I felt like, because you fight the Tyrant twice, you fight him the first time in one hallway after he murders whoever your random person is. And I was watching this video, and they shoot a flame round at his feet, and one flame round just kills him.
Oh.
Huh. Interesting.
So, I did not do that. I pumped in, like, all my grenade ammo, my Magnum ammo, almost everything into these Tyrant battles, and they barely went down. I was like, damn, this is hard for easy mode. So, yeah, apparently I did it wrong. You're supposed to shoot the flame rounds at their feet, because then it does more damage.
Yeah, because I never use flame rounds in these games except for like the Ivies in 1 or 2 rather. But even then, I just run past them.
And in 1, I use them for zombies because I don't want anyone to get back up in the remake.
Oh, right, in the remake. Okay,
you can do that.
In remake 1, you hit them with the incendiary round, they burn, and that's the end of them.
Oh shit! I didn't know that. You learn something new every day.
Oh. The first time I played Resident Evil 1 was actually I had it, but then my friend had found a glitch in the GameCube version where you could multiply grenade launcher ammo, so I played the game with all this, like, hundreds and hundreds of incendiary rounds, so I would never have to worry about it again.
Oh.
So, okay, then you, like, this in traditional fashion, Resident Evil fashion, you get on a train, you end up at a heliport, and then the Tyrant shows up again, but now he's been more evolved, and in the run I'm watching right now, they still use flame round, but this time they hit him in the chest with flame rounds.
I think I've expressed it on the show plenty of times. I'm always a fan if your boss fight is more than like one phase, and this thing, this thing scratched that itch, especially because like when he shows up, he is just one ugly looking motherfucker.
Oh, and there's a weird thing in this game where if you don't see the bullets don't hurt you, and if you don't see the enemy can't hurt you.
What?
That's what the speedrunner said. There's a speedrunner who purposely looks away at the wall and avoids contact with things. He's like, they can't hurt you if you don't see them.
The ultimate
so you can avoid contact. I mean, zombies can still grab you, but they can't hurt you. If they grab you, then they'll hurt you afterwards if you don't break free. But yeah, so he wouldn't look at anything.
It's the ultimate game of peekaboo.
But and then as you fight the Tyrant, it obviously, like you were saying, like this one, then it forms into another more powerful looking Tyrant. This took a lot of fucking shots.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous for me.
If I had known this thing had like a third phase, which I didn't think it would have, because usually you just fight the Tyrant and that's it. I probably would have used my incendiary rounds first and then the Magnum, but
the Magnum didn't feel that powerful in this game.
Yeah, this boss is way too bullet spongy, and another thing that makes it even more annoying is that, so when I play like the classic Resident Evil games, like I organize my inventory like very specifically, and your inventory is all over the place, and it's so cumbersome to like do something as simple as like blend herbs or reload your like special weapons, or like change your ammo types or change guns, because it's just like they're everywhere and it's really frustrating.
I mean, yeah, but there's also no like inventory cap. You can just carry whatever you want to in this game, so that was nice.
I also think I ran into a glitch.
What kind of glitch? What happened?
I couldn't combine a red herb with the blue herb. I guess you have to go like green, blue, then green, red before you can fuse a blue or a red with it.
Well, that's standard. You can't combine. You have to make a blue and a green, or a red and a green before you can't just blend a red and blue.
I never knew that.
You learned something new.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to, but you learned something new.
Yeah, I guess my brain never put that together. Weird.
I mean, I got poisoned once in this game, but I was doing my best to save state to get away from poison because I didn't want to be poisoned. So
I guess the spiders do it. I don't think I was poisoned my entire run.
Spiders do it, yeah.
So are the Ivies.
Okay. I just ran past both of those.
I killed. Again, I know I could run, so I had to fight everything until later. I really did not learn to run for way late in this game, which again, it adds tension to this game. It really does if you don't know you can run.
Did you use handgun bullets on the Ivies?
Yes.
Then they died?
They die, yeah. It takes a bit, but they die.
Weird. I don't know. I always thought in like RE2 if you didn't use anything that they used flame rounds or anything, they wouldn't die.
No, like in RE2 when I redid it, I killed them with handgun rounds too, and That one.
Yeah, I just used the shotgun on them sometimes.
Oh, maybe it was
if they're
shotgun.
away.
I can't remember. It's been a bit. It hasn't been that long, but I do not remember what I used. Maybe I used grenade launch. I think I used flame rounds when I was Claire, and then when I was Leon, I probably used a shotgun. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. All right, I'm trying to think of anything else that we should. Oh, and there's just we mentioned a little bit, but I want to go back on it again. There's one name drop where you find out that the guy you're playing as, was sent by Leon, his friend Leon S. Kennedy. I like that. I always like the storyline, the fact Leon was doing more behind the scenes after Raccoon City.
Well, isn't that also like they name drop him a lot in the games too? Because what is it? I think Code Veronica. That's how Chris knows where Claire's at.
Yes, because she sends an email or something to Leon.
Yeah,
and then there's my favorite one of all time, which is like in RE5. Chris is like, "These aren't the Ganados that Leon was talking about in his report." And I think that's like the other time they mentioned him.
Yeah, I guess in that context, it's like all of these monsters and everything are just, they probably have a governmental database. So it's just like, oh yeah, here's the report on these things.
Which makes sense. Right, but hey, at least, you know what? I got to play a game where I fought a lot of tyrants, and I got to see a tyrant factory. Like that, to me, that was something really cool that I can't describe. Like, I don't know, it just really hit me.
This also has the whole thing, which I wish they would have done more before they hit 4, or they would maybe do now, where I wish they would just make up places you can then just throw zombies there. Because I like the mechanics of 4, but like I really wish they would bring zombies back, especially when replaying the remakes. And I guess they don't want to use different towns, but America's huge, and you can always just be like, oh yeah, Umbrella's a rich company. They made like a whole bunch of small islands off, in the middle of the ocean.
I think I would like that too, because I honestly, but then it just, by the time Resident Evil 0 came out in the old days, it was like, okay, this formula had kind of run its course, but I really wish they would make because I know Umbrella Chronicles, which is the first proper Resident Evil light gun game, kind of deals with, because in Resident Evil 4, it's just like, okay, Umbrella's gone. Like, there was never that cathartic game where you actually got to take down Umbrella. Like, I really wish they go back and make Resident Evil like an actual Resident Evil 3.5, where it's the game where you take them down and you're still dealing with like T-virus mutants. Like, I think that would be great. Like
the final
Jill and Carlos and everyone.
Like the final big takedown, like whenever they're like running out of money and they're like just shooting out like shitty experiments at them.
I mean, that's a little bit what Umbrella Chronicles has, one mission kind of like that which is the brand new part of that.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be canon, but like I want to do it in a way that's not just like shooting enemies. Like I want that game where it's like Chris and Jill and people in like the cradle of the beast.
I don't think you're getting that game.
No.
Well, I don't know. They're really they're remaking 4. They're really starting to get to the bottom of the barrel. Like I think they're gonna start hitting it if we ever get like a remake of Code Veronica and 0. And like
we need a remake of Code Veronica just because like I think there's so much to that game. I've never really played that game, so I gotta say that. But I think there's so much to that game that game deserves a remake more than any of them.
Yeah.
At this point, just because 4 didn't need a remake. 4 was perfect, so I'm okay. I get it.
Well, it's also they're rewriting canon, because there was like a big update for remake 2 and 3, and people were like, I wonder what it is. And 2, you find a note from Jill in Kendo's shop that just says, hey, I'm around town, which is just supposed to be a teaser for 2. And then in 3, I want to say they added a note that says that the Nemesis parasite is basically just the Las Plagas parasite, which is a stupid retcon.
Yeah, that
yeah, because they say in 0, or the one remake, that the parasite was found in Lisa Trevor, wasn't it?
Yes, I think that sounds right.
Wait, which parasite? The Nemesis or the Las Plagas?
Well, essentially, the thing that allows them to control the Nemesis was something that was found when they were experimenting on Lisa Trevor over the course of like several decades.
That's weird then.
Okay. All right. Any last things to say about Survivor before we go on to Shelf Stacker Box? Okay.
I have one thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
please.
me too.
Let you go first, because I want to know if it's the same thing as mine.
No, I just remember when this came out, and I was reading, I think it was like GamePro in the March issue, and they were talking about future games, and they were talking about the cancellation of Resident Evil on Game Boy Color, and they said like, well, we wanted to keep, like, all of these games have met such a high quality that we didn't want to put out something that wasn't up to our standards, and then this came out. So I would have took the Game Boy Color remake of Resident Evil, or demake of Resident Evil, over this any day of the week.
Okay.
That's fair.
And Joe, what were you going to say?
I love that the final part of this is whenever you get in the helicopter, the tyrant's still on you, and you double missile his ass. It's pretty cool.
All right. I don't remember that. I must not have been paying that much attention.
That's how the game ends, Mike.
I wasn't paying much attention apparently in the end. I was like, oh, I beat it. Okay, we're done. I had a busy week. That's all I got. All right. And that brings us to Shelf Stacker Box. I'm going to go first. I'm going to put this in the stack because I actually enjoyed this game way more than I thought I would. I had a good time. I mean, it was a short, quick experience. I beat it in, I think it was like under an hour and a half it took me to beat it or so, or an hour or something like that. But I had fun. I enjoyed my playthrough. It's a simple, like, gun PS1 game, or in this case, just a weird PS1 game, but it was fun. Like, I had more fun playing this than I've had playing other games. I'm glad I finally got to mark this off my list. I can't believe that the only Resident Evil game I have never beaten now for PlayStation 1 is Resident Evil 1. So that was kind of a weird realization at the end of this. But yeah, I was really glad I got to do it. I'm glad that this was on the show finally. I hope people listen to this but either way, I got to play a game that I never had any intention of actually playing. But hey. All right. And what about you, Joe?
This is also stack. This is, as it's described before, a good afternoon game because it's only 2 hours. I actually wouldn't mind replaying this just to get, because I think in that the Sphere Hunter video, because I also watch it too, you don't hear what Vincent says, so I kind of want to see what he like complains about before he gets stabbed in the back. But I'd probably play it like one more time and then leave it in the stack.
Okay. And what about you, Blair?
This is a box for me because once upon a time, I was someone who had to buy anything with the Resident Evil name on it, including this. And I eventually sold this because I was like, I'm never, ever playing this game. And when we're talking about doing this, I kind of felt sad because I was like, I really wish I had that game. And then I replayed it and I was like, no, I'm okay with that decision because it's a Resident Evil game where, I mean, maybe it's different if you play on normal because, again, I played on easy. Like, there's unlimited ammo, so there's no tension or fear of like running out of ammo or being able to get past the situation. So you can either gun down everything or run past it. There's no puzzles or backtracking. Like, the best thing about this game is the files, and you can probably read those online. So
You can.
it was okay to just do this again, but like for me also just dealing with the emulation, it was more of a headache to get this working than what it should have been for Resident Evil Survivor. Like, if it's on a compilation and you like, if you're curious to play it once, but I don't think you're really missing out by like not playing this one. Capcom should do that. Capcom does love compilations. Like, why isn't there a Resident Evil compilation of Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, the PS1 versions of this? They should do that. Because the new ones are out, and whining kids will say, why do I want to play this ugly game with bad graphics and bad controls? I just maybe after you have the fact that the Cowabunga collection is doing so well, maybe it will convince Capcom, like, we have Resident Evil, but I doubt it. You're right. Well, Director's Cut is on PlayStation 5, and they're done new subscription service, so yeah, you don't hopefully 2 and 3 follow after. 2 and 3 really should, because 2 and 3 are both amazing, great games. 3 is something else, so I like 3 a lot. I really do. All right, I think that's everything. Wow, we went on this a lot longer than I expected. And while I look up the other episodes of Resident Evil, Blair, where can people find you at? You can find me on Twitter at Blarcade, and my website is comicbookvideogames.com, where you can read a review, possibly by the time this comes out, of a game about another Amnesiac, the remaster of the remake of 13. I guess that is based on a comic book. Okay, I forgot that there's a comic book for that. Yeah, Belgian comic book, which I actually read a couple issues of. It's pretty good because I was like big in the week that I played 13 back in episode 114. I still regret that I did not make that 113, but I really got into that game. All right, and for other Resident Evil stuff that's currently published, there's still more, but it's not published at the time. Resident Evil 2002, Film 19. Resident Evil 4, Episode 129. Resident Evil 2, the remake, 2019, Episode 94.
Resident Evil Outbreak, Episode 73, Resident Evil Dead Aim, Episode 70, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Episode 63, Resident Evil Degeneration, Film 4, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, Episode 37, Resident Evil, the 2002 remake, Episode 33, and Resident Evil 2, the first time we covered it, is Episode 9, the PS1 version. All right, and that's all our other Resident Evil that's currently out. There will be more at the time you hear this, because I've already recorded 2 other ones. By the time we recorded this, they're all coming out around the same in Spooktober. So, happy Spooktober! I'm so ready for Spooktober to be done. It hasn't even really
started yet.
I know. I already played Doom 3. I've already recorded that. I've already played something else. Dead Space 3 and recorded that. So I played a few, but no, the big ones are still coming. That I got for Spooktober. I still got Haunting Ground, Silent Hill 4, and Resident Evil Revelations. I'm a little worried. Well, I'm worried about Revelations. I'm actually going to play that legit, so I'm a little nervous. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to emulate it. I'm going to play it legit on my PC. So, yay for me. All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, go check out our other over 350 other episodes that we have released. If you can't find them, just looking for on Spotify or iTunes, everything is on Podbean. We're also on YouTube, but you can find audio only on YouTube. The only thing that's not on YouTube is the 100K celebration because it was too big and I wasn't going to pay for a converter. So it's not on there, unfortunately. But everything else is on there, so definitely go check out our massive catalog of episodes. We cover all sorts of games, movies, comics, TV seasons, of premium shows. We cover everything, so go check all that out. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on Discord. We're on Discord now, so you can chat with us. So please go do that. And I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Hasfer. You can follow her on TikTok. She made our music. And also want to give a shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who did his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40. So definitely go. He interviews people how video games affect their lives. Really good show. Check him out. He did all the MCU movies with me. So go listen to those too. They need more love because that was a hell of a project. And last thing that I want to say, we have a Patreon. For as little as $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. We have 2 polls going on right now, a top 10 horror poll and actually, no, when you hear this, that poll's already ended. So never mind. You have Patreon. Go vote for $1. Go see what, I don't know. It'll be some kind of poll. I don't know what it will be at the time because this comes out in October. So yes, actually, it might be, I think I know. Hey, go vote for it. Go check it out. You'll see it on all my things. So, all right. And we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.